All right. All right. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Paradyme Podcast. We're so grateful that you're here. In this week's episode, we're going to be moving forward and Beyond Good and Evil by Friedrich Nietzsche with aphorisms 261 through what was it? 267. Yeah, through 267. So before we jump into the conversation, like the video, drop a comment down below, subscribe. We greatly appreciate it. All right. So I'll go ahead and start with 261. Vanity is one of the things which are perhaps most difficult for a noble man to understand. He will be tempted to deny it, where another kind of man thinks he sees it self-evidently. The problem for him is to represent to his mind beings who seek to arouse a good opinion of themselves which they themselves do not possess, and consequently also do not deserve, and who yet believe in this good opinion afterwards. This seems to him, on the other hand, such bad taste and so self-disrespectful, and on the other hand, so grotesquely unreasonable, that he would like to consider vanity an exception, and is doubtful about it in most cases when it is spoken of. He will say, for instance, I may be mistaken about my value, and on the other hand may nevertheless demand that my value should be acknowledged by others precisely as I rate it. That, however, is not vanity, but self-conceit, or, in most cases, that which is called humility and also modesty. Or he will even say, for many reasons I can delight in the good opinion of others, perhaps because I love and honor them, and rejoice in all their joys. Perhaps also because their good opinion endorses and strengthens my belief in my own good opinion. Perhaps because the good opinion of others, even in the cases where I do not share it, is useful to me, or gives promise of usefulness. All this, however, is not vanity. The man of noble character must first bring it home forcibly to his mind, especially with the aid of history, that from the time immemorial, in all social strata, in any way dependent, the ordinary man was only that which he passed for, not being at all accustomed to fixed values. He did not assign even to himself any other value than that which his master assigned to him. It is the peculiar right of masters to create values. It may be looked upon as a result of an extraordinary atavism that the ordinary man, even at present, is still always waiting for an opinion about himself, and then instinctively submitting himself to it. Yet by no means only to a good opinion, but also to a bad and unjust one. Think, for instance, of the greater part of the self-appreciations and self-depreciations which believing women learn from their confessors, and which, in general, the believing Christian learns from his church. In fact, conformably to slow rise of the democratic social order and its cause, the blending of the blood of masters and slaves, the originally noble and rare impulse of the masters to assign a value to themselves and to think well of themselves, will now be more and more encouraged and extended. But it has at all times an older, ampler, and more radically ingrained propensity opposed to it. And in the phenomenon of vanity, this older propensity overmasters the younger. The vain person rejoices over every good opinion which he hears about himself, quite apart from the point of view of its usefulness, and equally regardless of its truth or falsehood, just as he suffers from every bad opinion, for he subjects himself to both. He feels himself subjected to both by that oldest instinct of subjection which breaks forth in him. It is the slave in the vain man's blood, the remains of the slave's craftiness, and how much of the slave is still left in woman, for instance, which seeks to seduce through good opinions of itself. It is the slave, too, who immediately afterwards falls prostrate himself before these opinions, and as though he had not called them forth. And to repeat it again, vanity is an atavism. Right.
What does atavism mean?
So atavism is a tendency to revert to something ancient or ancestral.
Okay. To revert to something ancient or ancestral. Okay.
It shows up in like nature when like human like infants like in the womb are like born with like tails, you know, like they look like kind of like a different organism, but then they slowly like develop into like an actual like human, stuff like that.
It's like if a baby were to be born with a tail, that would be reverting backwards in the evolutionary cycle. So that would be a form of atavism, is what you're saying, right, David?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it'd be like going backwards.
I think yeah, okay.
All right. So you guys know about vanity. Do you have a good look on that? Bad outlook? What does it mean to you?
I mean, I think a healthy dose of vanity is the correct approach. You know, I think vanity is like how you. Okay, sorry. Vanity is like how you perceive yourself and like how you value, like how you weigh yourself compared to others. Why can't I see Jay no more? Oh, sorry.
Come on here.
And it's like if you were looking in a mirror, but in your mind of yourself, you know? So you're like, I care about how I dress because other people are going to like weigh in on like how I look and I care about that. So I'm going to take an effort to look good like that. I think that'd be like a level of vanity.
So like, I think that would be like an expression of pride a little bit, but vanity is like is an excessive pride.
Explain that.
So like, let's say you do things, for vanity to receive or garner opinion of others.
Yes.
And if somebody's opinion of you changes, that like that would harm your vanity, where you're like excessively proud.
Okay. I feel like that's what I just said, but yeah.
So like a light case of pride is
Like for example, I mean, in the past when I was younger, the whole core of why I went to the gym was primarily based in vanity. I wanted to look good for people to think that I look good, you know?
Yeah.
And because of that healthy dose of vanity, it actually was a net positive on me in like the long term of things. Like I'm now later in life and I built the habit of going to the gym and the core of why I go now is for my health. But like the whole start of it was because like I didn't want to look bad. So I cared about how people perceive me. And like, so I wanted to look good, not because of my health. It's like, what is it? I want to be like, damn, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And like,
yeah, I guess it's important to make sure it doesn't have an undertone of narcissism.
Right.
Because I think vanity can just get blended in with pride, being prideful, and also pride. Like if there's undertones of,
I'll be right back, guys. I'm sorry.
Okay, all right, problem. If there's undertones of like jealousy, and so your pride is hindered by other people doing better than you, and so you try to like undermine other people because you're so prideful that it hits your relationships. I think like it's really like, because I don't know if you use these like blanketed terms for vanity or these like it really can undercut the meaning of like a lot of definition, which it should be pretty black and white, and we should be able to see things black and white. But I think all of us, at least most of us that have a sense of pride in the way we want to show up for our families, our friends, and people that we hold dearest to us, like we want to show up in the best way possible. And I think the only way you can do that is if you have not only just belief in yourself, but you have like an image of who you want to become for them.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's important that doesn't get like squandered because of like the undertone of like people mixing it up with narcissism.
Yeah. I have like this negative connotation that comes with the word vanity. It reminds me of, I believe it's the book of Ecclesiastes where Solomon says, vanity, vanity, it is all vanity, right? We do it all for public perception. So that's kind of where I get Like when I hear the word vanity, that's where my mind goes. So Nietzsche actually in this section, he defines vanity as dependence on others' opinions, to crave being valued from the outside, from like external sources. He says it is a symptom of the slave morality that we read about earlier, and a leftover of man's long history of subjugation. So like your public perception meant a lot.
Yeah.
But there's a noble type that affirms his worth from within and has no need for flattery. So like vanity isn't a big thing for him is what he's talking about in here as well.
I would say the most of my life hearing the word vain, like people have used it in a negative connotation, meaning
Right.
they like acknowledge that they are vain. I've seen it like with people saying, "Oh yeah, I am vain," like like just, I'm vain, like, or whatever. And it has like that negative feeling towards it. But I think like what John's saying is that sort of self-regard to, I guess like it depends on like the purpose of like why you're looking to seek attention for others and like what its true outcome is. Because an outcome of someone trying to be manipulative could be being vain and seeking this attention and capturing other people's attention, but maybe the outcome is not positive, or I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
I think with the approach of having something or someone be vain, I think it gets, I don't know, there's like a miscommunication with like, obviously if we're talking about like the religious realm or the conceptual, like if we're talking in the context of like the opinions of others, don't try to impress other people just to impress other people. I think this is where it gets kind of confusing, because at the end of the day, we will always have a hierarchy of like some sort of leadership. It's our job, our family, look up to your elders. And so that opinion or that person, like the personalization we have, the relationship we have with these people around us or people we don't know, is always going to be significant to us.
Yeah.
So it's to me, it's always like a weird, like, well, then how do you determine when to not care about what everybody thinks versus when you don't? Or like, you could just set a standard rule of like, just be respectful, carry yourself with integrity, be someone that you could admire in other people. Like you want to see yourself in other people. Like, so I think it's like, there should be somewhat of like a standard across the board, but it's also like when we start to look at it in a way where like, don't be vain and don't let opinion of other people be the reason why you're doing whatever you're doing. That's so hard. Like,
yeah, I mean, especially like being young, where like your social circle, that opinion matters so much, Yeah. He says here, I thought it was interesting. He goes, I can delight in the good opinions of others, perhaps because I love and honor them and rejoice in their joys, perhaps also because their good opinion endorses and strengthens my belief in my own good opinion.
Yeah.
Me?
Yeah, it's useful to me is what it says there on that page too. So yeah, this noble person he talks about doesn't affirm his worth with vanity, but it's all from within. So flattery doesn't work. And so this is like I would say like a feature of that Superman.
Hey, can we pause real quick? I gotta go move my car and shit. Can be just like right back. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Is there a way we can pause the recording or just leave it recording?
I mean, we can keep the discussion going, I think. But I can pause.
Well, I guess we just no, you can leave it running because it really doesn't matter. I'll probably like this right here, cut right here.
I'm gonna bring up what I asked ChatGPT.
I'll
see here if I can.
Here's the thing. I think everybody has a degree or is born with a degree for vanity. Like it's a human condition to be based.
Let's because I think let's get, how do you guys view, because you guys have both sort of said the same definition. Not same definition, but you guys both see it in a negative context. And the negative context,
It can be negative.
would you say that there's multiple definitions of vanity?
Damn. My internet connection.
You're lagging a little bit.
Yeah.
So no, I don't think. I think there is a definition for vanity. I think, the outcomes of it can either, like, there's an outcome tied to the purpose or the intention behind it. I think that's either negative or positive. So, not itself is negative or positive, but the things it produces.
Yeah, because I think I want emphasis to, like, specifically talking about vanity, like, is the excessiveness or the inflated with context of what it can entail. Like, if you let the reason why you won't show up to work because you're so prideful and like the way you look, and like I can't go anywhere looking like I can't do anything to look like this, and it's like, well, that might be a detriment to your life if you let. So I think that's where, like, there's a huge context, but I think the source of vanity is right how you said it. Like, there is a source of good, and then it's also like the output or the outcome that comes from it is like really the defining metric.
And I think that, like, because Nietzsche doesn't necessarily categorize things in the good or the bad, he's just kind of taking observance to, like, the outcome. I think he's just kind of categorizing, like, there's the noble form of vanity, and then there's the unnoble. It's neither good nor bad. It just is what it is, type of thing. Yeah. Makes sense.
I'm on energy here.
Well, real quick, sorry, I fucking haven't been a part of it. I fucking had some thoughts, but how he ends it, like, he kind of ends it like vanity's only granted to like a higher level of man, because he goes, other men, they don't get that. They just get their principles or whatever from their master, and he can mean Christians from Lord or whatever, or from anybody. But he's like, having vanity is actually still the last remnant of the slave mentality, because you're still doing stuff driven by other people's like opinions, and that was a thought.
Yeah, it makes sense that it fits under slave mentality, you know?
Yeah.
Okay. So I asked ChatGPT, I said, King Solomon from the Bible warns about vanity in the book of Ecclesiastes. How do you think Nietzsche would have interpreted Solomon's writings? Would he have agreed? So here we go. King Solomon's Ecclesiastes, with its famous refrain, "Vanity of vanities, all is vanity," is one of the most haunting works of the Bible, and its tone is existentially future. Dude, this guy's going crazy. So the admiration for Solomon's honesty, so he would admire the honesty, but Nietzsche would reject Solomon's resolution, the return to the fear of God. In Ecclesiastes' closing line, fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the duty of all mankind. Nietzsche would see a tragic retreat. For Nietzsche, this turns toward divine order after such radical doubt would represent the slave's recoil from freedom, a step back into metaphysical comfort. Nietzsche would say Solomon came close to intellectual courage, but then sought safety in the very kind of moral obedience that suffocates vitality. So he agrees with the vanity, but he doesn't agree with the follow-up to fear God and keep his commandments. That would just be like going right back into another form of slave mentality. So I thought that was pretty interesting, because I do remember vanity a lot when I'm reading Ecclesiastes. So Nietzsche would say, all is vanity, therefore let's make it beautiful.
Damn it, Nietzsche.
All right. 262.
This was a doozy. I'll take it.
All right.
All right. 262. A species originates and a type becomes established and strong in the long struggle with essentially constant unfavorable conditions. On the other hand, it is known by the experience of breeders that species which receive superabundant nourishment and in general a surplus of protection and care immediately tend in the most marked way to develop variations and are fertile in prodigies and monstrosities, also in monstrous vices. Now look at an aristocratic commonwealth, say an ancient Greek polis or Venice, as a voluntary or involuntary contrivance for the purpose of rearing human beings. There are there men beside one another, thrown upon their own resources, who want to make their species prevail, chiefly because they must prevail, or else run the terrible danger of being exterminated. The favor, the superabundance, the protection are there lacking under which variations are fostered. The species needs itself a species, as something which, precisely by virtue of its hardness, its uniformity, and simplicity of structure, can in general prevail and make itself permanent in constant struggle with its neighbors, or with rebellious or rebellious vassals. The most varied experience teaches it what are the qualities to which it principally owes the fact that it still exists. In spite of all gods and men, and has hitherto been victorious, these qualities it calls virtues, and these virtues alone it develops to maturity. It does so with severity, indeed it desires severity. Every aristocratic morality is intolerant in the education of youth, in the control of women, in the marriage customs, and the relations of old and young, and the penal laws, which have an eye only for the degenerating. It counts intolerance itself among the virtues, under the name of justice. A type with few but very marked features, a species of severe, warlike, wisely silent, reserved, and reticent men, and such with the most delicate sensibility for the charm and nuances of society, is thus established, unaffected by the vicissitudes of generations. The constant struggle with uniform, unfavorable conditions is, as already remarked, the cause of a type becoming stable and hard. Finally, however, a happy state of things results. The enormous tension is relaxed. There are perhaps no more enemies among the neighboring peoples, and the means of life, even of the enjoyment of life, are present in superabundance. With one stroke, the bond and constraint of the old discipline setters. It is no longer regarded as necessary, as a condition of existence. If it would continue, it can only do as a form of luxury, as an archaizing taste. Variations, whether they be deviations into the higher, finer, and rarer, or deteriorations and monstrosities, appear suddenly on the scene in the greatest exuberance and splendor. The individual dares to be individual and attach himself. At this turning point of history, there manifested themselves, side by side, and often mixed and entangled together, a magnificent manifold, virgin forest-like upgrowth and upstriving, a kind of tropical tempo in the rivalry of growth, and an extraordinary decay and self-destruction, owing to the savagely opposing and seemingly exploding egoisms, which strive with one another for sun and light, and could no longer assign any limit, restraint, or forbearance for themselves by means of the hitherto existing morality. It was this morality itself which piled up the strength so enormously, which bent the bow in so threatening a manner. It is now out of date. It is getting out of date. The dangerous and disquieting point has been reached when the greater, more manifold, more comprehensive life is lived beyond the old morality. The individual stands out, and is obliged to have recourse to his own law-giving, his own arts and artifices for self-preservation, self-elevation, and self-deliverance. Nothing but new whys, nothing but new hows. No common formulas any longer, misunderstanding and disregard and league with each other. Decay, deterioration, and the loftiest desires frightfully entangled. The genius of the race overflowing from all the cornucopias of good and bad, a portentous simultaneousness of spring and autumn, full of new charms and mysterious peculiar to the fresh, still inexhausted, still unweary corruption. Dangers again present, the mother of morality, great danger, this time shifted into the individual, into the neighbor and friend, into the street, into their own child, into their own heart, into all the most personal and secret recesses of their desires and volitions. What will the moral philosophers who appear at this time have to preach? They discover, these sharp onlookers and loafers, that the end is quickly approaching, that everything around them decays and produces decay, that nothing will endure until the day after tomorrow, except one species of man, the incurably mediocre. The mediocre alone have a prospect of continuing and propagating themselves. They will be the men of the future, the sole survivors. Be like them, become mediocre, is now the only morality which has still a significance, which still obtains a hearing. But it is difficult to preach this morality of mediocrity. It can never avow what is and what it desires. It has to talk of moderation and dignity and duty and brotherly love. It will have difficulty in concealing its irony.
Well, that was a mouthful. That was a good one.
That was a lot.
Yeah. All right. 2 sentences, Devin. What was it? Break it down.
2 sentences.
Yeah.
Break it down in one word, bro.
Well, I think the how it starts off like really like caught my eye, but then towards the end I kind of lose it. But at the end where he talks about like the area where he's talking about mediocre and the sharp onlookers and loafers, that brought me back to the beginning of the statement of 262, where he says a species originates and its type becomes established and strong in the long struggle with essentially constant unfavorable conditions. And then towards the end, he talks about being the mediocre species of man. It's almost as if like you should succumb to the unfavorable conditions and then just try to fit in, to put like them like in layman's term, not to be like overcomplicated, but I think that's what he's saying is like if there is too much, if there's too much detail or there's too much stuff that gets lost in the species of a human, just do your best to like be average, if any. Like so, I got lost towards the end of that.
Yeah. In a short sentence, AI put it: struggle creates strength, and ease breeds decay. Was the big overarching idea on this one.
I mean, that's the saying, right?
Right. Yeah. So these societies that live with ease, they flourish, so they don't really get too much hardship and discipline. So it's super abundant, and it's creating people, soft people.
Yeah, it's the whole thing. Like hard times make strong men make good times make weak men make hard times, and then the cycle repeats itself. It's like the whole Batman Bane thing. He's like, "You've merely adopted darkness. I was born in it, molded by it." Like, of course, he had like more depth than his character than Batman. Like he was brought up in like the worst possible scenario and overcame all that. Like Bruce Wayne is a billionaire's son who had to learn like what it means to like know darkness. So like the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean that's literally. I think that's the perfect way to describe this: is the old chain, the sequence that you just spoke out. Yeah, I mean, and he even said that.
And like where we right now, you know, we're in like the era of abundance. You know, like I can go to McDonald's and order 10 Big Macs, like an insane concept, but I can't.
That sounds great.
And have it delivered to my door.
I could do that too. Yeah. I could also do that too. Insane. Like it is an insane abundance.
And I'll make gangbang. Put them together.
Man, I did pretty well. Yeah. So as these like, at the end I highlighted here, it says the mediocre alone have a prospect of continuing subjugating themselves. They will be the men of the future, the sole survivors. Be like them,
Right.
be mediocre. Is now the only morality which has any significance. It still obtains a hearing. It seems like any individuality, in a sense.
I think what he's talking about is like it's the nail that sticks out gets hit, or the grass that grows too tall gets cut. And like as long as you're average, like you'll kind of endure all the ebbs and flows of the changing times because you're never going too out into like the unsafe zone and trying to like do anything too big. You're just like sticking. It's like the whole like people always say this all the time. Like I'm just keeping my head down and just living day by day. You know, like what does that even mean? You know, that's exactly what it means. You know, is like no need to be the nail that sticks out, Sonny. You know what I'm saying? It's fine.
But I want to be unique. Yeah. Wham.
Yep. All right. I think that wraps up 262 pretty well. Anybody else have anything they want to mention? All right. So 263, who got this one?
I got this one.
All right. Let's do it.
All right. I'll get some water real fast.
You know what you got to do.
What?
You know what you got to do. You'll know.
There is an instinct for rank, which more than anything else is already the sign of a high rank. There is a delight in the nuances of reverence, which leads one to inferior noble origin and habits. The refinement, goodness, and loftiness of a soul are put to a perilous test when something passes by that is of the highest rank, but it is not yet protected by the awe of authority from obtrusive touches and incivilities.
Incivilities.
Function that grows its way like a living torchstone, undistinguished, undiscovered, and tentative, perhaps voluntarily veiled and disguised. He whose task and practice it is to investigate souls will avail himself of many varieties of this very art to determine the ultimate value of a soul, the unalterable innate order of rank to which it belongs. He will test it by the instinct of reverence. Difference engender pain. The vulgarity of many a nature spurts up suddenly like dirty water when any holy vessel, any jewel from closed shrines, any book bearing the marks of great destiny is brought before it, while on the other hand there is an involuntary silence, a hesitation of the eye, cessation of all gestures by which it is indicated that a soul feels the nearest of what is worthiest respect. The way in which, on the whole, the reverence for the Bible has hitherto been maintained in Europe is perhaps the best example of discipline and refinement of manners which Europe owes to Christianity. Books of such profoundness and supreme significance require for their protection an external tyranny of authority in order to acquire the period of thousands of years which is necessary to exhaust and unriddle them. Much has been achieved when the sentiment has been at last instilled into the masses, the shallow pats and the boobies of every kind, that they are not allowed to touch everything, that there are holy experiences before which they must take off their shoes and keep away the unclean hand. It is also their highest advance towards humanity. On the contrary, in the so-called cultured classes, the believers in modern ideas, nothing and perhaps is so repulsive as their lack of shame, the easy insolence of eye and hand with which they touch, taste, and finger everything. It is possible that even yet there is more relative nobility of taste and more tact for reverence among the people, among the lower classes of the people, especially among peasants, than among the new newspaper readings, modi of intellect, the cultured class.
All right. Well,
The end made the most sense to me.
From where?
When he talks about how like he's saying the lower class people actually tend to have more social tact than like the highest levels of society. And it's because like the highest level of society, they're like so detached that like they start doing like really perverse things amongst themselves, and they don't understand that like maybe it's like socially unacceptable because they're so disconnected from like normal society. But with the lower classes, because so much of their life is spent amongst themselves, they actually learn a lot of nuance about social interactions because they understand like their life is a constant hierarchy game of like working with multiple different people at all times, from like the moment you wake up, public infrastructure, the place of work, everything. And like they understand like the real nuance of the day to day.
It makes me think too, like on a construction site, there's the foreman, and then there's the operators, and then there's laborers, right? It makes me think of like, when you're a laborer, you work as a laborer, you build a rapport with your fellow laborers, and then you get promoted to be an operator. I saw this meme. This guy, he's like a short video. He's like, man, it's always going to be the same. It's always going to be the same. Me and you in the trenches, whatever. He closes the door to the AC in the excavator. He's like, yeah, fuck you.
Yeah. Yeah.
As soon as you lose.
But when that same guy gets out of the excavator to talk to the laborer who's like with the shovel, he's like the AC don't even work in there that good, bro. Like it sucks. like because he knows that like he don't want to fucking like pull down that guy who's like, it's cake up here, Bubba. AC, like we're like other people, they're like they don't understand that, right?
Yeah, and then
Because
they get promoted. They continue to get promoted, and then they lose the skill of how to talk in those like the social interactions. Like,
it just depends.
Yeah.
I think it depends. I feel like what he's referring to is not necessarily as you go up the ladder you lose a skill. It's that like if you started up there originally, you never built the skill. I feel like there's a real difference in like a real good particular leader, especially like in an organization, is a guy who like they're like he started here as like the dishwasher, and now he like he's like the head chef of the restaurant. He's like he's bought in everything, and like he knows every inch of the kitchen, so like he never lost that like muscle of like talking to every inch of the kitchen like how they should be talked to. But he also added that he can like rub shoulders with like the upper echelon too. But like when you start up there, you never work that muscle.
Yeah, that's why it's so weird having conversations with HR folks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I'd say you're doing some work or whatever. The person that does HR doesn't really know about what's going on in that field. They just think about how things should be conducted in like in a vacuum.
Yeah, that shit's stupid. Hate it.
Yeah. One of the quotes I highlighted I thought was interesting was it goes, on the contrary, in the so-called cultured classes, the believers in modern ideas, nothing is perhaps so repulsive as their lack of shame. The easy insolence of eye and hand with which they touch, taste, and finger everything. So it's like there's no shame in then taking like good ideas and just like touching them. Basically, like there's nothing sacred, right? And then there's no shame in violating that sacredness. I just thought it was an interesting way because like I feel like in culture there's a movement to get rid of shame.
Yeah, I agree.
That's what body positivity is, right? Get rid of the shame with the stigma. So
The pendulum is swinging back though. There's like a huge resurgence of like young men being Christian and like especially Catholic, and like Catholic's number one thing is like you should be filled with shame at every waking moment.
Yeah,
Go. You should feel that, right? That means you're a good Catholic.
Yeah. Right. All right. Let's see. Do I have anything from Senior AI? Let's see. So actually in here, he praises Christianity. because it trained Europe's refinement. He laments that modern egalitarianism has replaced the reverence with insolence and curiosity. So, like, I think this is one of the first times actually in an aphorism where he's praising Christianity. I think as far back as I can remember with Nietzsche's writing.
No, I mean, I think he always gives it credit when credit's due. Like he's said that like the Bible is one of the best written books like ever. You know, and he's like look what they like. It's like one of the last masterpieces. I think he. I think.
Oh yeah, I do remember that.
He does give nods occasionally, and I think the whole time is that like back to the iron sharpens iron thing. You know, I think he looks at that as like the ultimate test to himself, like being like always referring back to like the Christianity, like the mother of all mothers. You know.
Yep. Yeah, it's like his comparison, his control at all times.
Yeah, it's like his control all the time. He always refers back to that. You know.
Yep. All right. Let's see. In the beginning, so being of high rank, he says here in the beginning, he says there's an instinct for rank, which more than anything else is already the sign of high rank. So like, only somebody of high rank can recognize the differences in social strata, or like a difference in rank. You can recognize hierarchy is a sign of high rank. Take a shot every time I just said rank, huh?
I've had like a little bit of experience with just like, because I by no means see myself in like a high ranking place in life, but working at a place like Table Mountain for one, you definitely are surrounded with people that are kind of like, well, just another day, just another like, it's like, well, what's
fucking this, buddy?
Yeah, like what's the vision, or what's the because how I saw Table Mountain in my eyes was like, it's just a means to get to work, like an end, like it's something to get to my next step. It wasn't like this is my plan. And I think where people get lost is the comfort, and so they lose sight of like being able to see the hierarchy, or how do I move the next step, or how do I climb the promotion, or to get to the next manager position if I'm aiming for manager. And so thinking just hierarchical structure in like a job or work environment is, at least how my mind is easy to understand, because it's hard to like extrapolate that on like a national scale, like just general population. But if you take a workforce, you can look at the lower employees, like the workers, the people that have to do just regular grunt work. They're probably not looking at like, okay, what does my manager's job entail to get to where they're at and like get above them. And there's always like,
well, not necessarily. It just depends, you know. Yeah. Like there's a percentage that I think that way. That's like where those managers and foremen came. That's where they were at like 10 years ago. Yeah,
I guess.
I think it's the Pareto distribution. I think it's the Pareto distribution where 20% of the workers are doing 80% of the work. 80% of the workers are doing 20% of the work. So like there's like a 20%, I would say, of people that are looking to improve, you know, professionally. 80% are pretty much happy where they're at. You know, that's what I would think. Yeah. All right. 264.
All right.
Yep.
264. It cannot be effaced from a man's soul what his ancestors have preferably and most constantly done, whether they were perhaps diligent economizers, attached to a desk and a cash box. I wonder who he's talking about. Modest and citizen-like in their desires, modest also in their virtues, or whether they were accustomed to commanding from morning till night, fond of rude pleasures and probably of still ruder duties and responsibilities, or whether, finally, at one time or another, they have sacrificed old privileges of birth and possessions in order to live wholly for their faith, Christians, for their God, as men of an inexorable and sensitive consciousness, which blushes at every compromise. It is quite impossible for a man not to have the qualities and predilections of his parents and ancestors in his constitution. Whatever appearances may suggest to his contrary, This is the problem of race. Granted that one knows something of the parents, it is admissible to draw a conclusion about the child. Any kind of offensive incompetence, any kind of sordid envy, or of clumsy self-vaunting, the three things which together have constituted the genuine plebeian type in all times, such must pass over to the child as surely as bad blood, and with the help of the best education and culture, one will only succeed in deceiving with regard to such hereditary. And what else does education and culture try to do nowadays? In our very democratic, or rather very plebeian age, education and culture must be essentially the art of deceiving. Deceiving with regard to origin, with regard to the inherited plebeianism in body and soul. An educator who nowadays preach truthfulness above everything else and called out constantly to his pupils, be true, be natural, show yourselves as you are. Even such a virtuous and sincere ass would learn in a short time to have recourse to the furca of horse, naturam expellere, with what results plebeianism esque recurrent.
Nice, dude. Sounded like, for real, you were hitting it. Something like Harry Potter spells.
Hey, well, in this chapter, he used the word plebeian a lot. Are you guys all familiar with what that means?
No.
Okay.
The comment to be like peasant.
Yeah, it's pretty much like it's like there was like two classes in Rome. It was like the lower class of Rome, and like they couldn't vote. Like they really weren't. They weren't like they were part of the republic, but they didn't get to really like be part of the republic. They were just like kind of under the republic.
Yeah, pawns on the chessboard.
There was what was the proles? I forget what the high rank is. Anyway, okay. So here's pretty much just talking about like I mean, I think at the end of the day there is some truth to what he's saying, right? Like let's just put an example. He talks about education is just like deceiving, and like okay, well like let's say if you put a white guy in Japan and he learned Japanese and like was into that culture for real, he'd always be like a gringo or like whatever they call it at the end of the day, because like he's actually Japanese. He'd be a gaijin, right? Okay. And like at the end of the day, like he can never actually be Japanese. He can be like someone who is like very adjacent or like really is in that culture, but like he could never overcome his genetics, his hereditary. And like I think he's saying that like I made the joke, I was like, I wonder who he's talking about when he's talking about the first type of people, but very clearly he's talking about a particular type of people. And like they're stereotypes for a reason. And I think it's just like how we talked about a few chapters ago when like he's talking about all the different characteristics of the different European nations. It's like some things, and like we don't give it a lot of respect nowadays because we're told we can be whatever we want to be. But like in the past, we used to value the past more. And like one thing I give the Jewish people a lot of credit for is that they look at themselves as a long line of ancestors that have been here for thousands of years. And they always say, we did this, we did that. Okay. And like, they never forgot their ancestry. And like, so they know their strengths, they know their weaknesses, they know who their enemies are, they know who their allies are, because they never forgot who they are. And I think a lot of people today,
right,
they're so ready to like throw away whatever because they go, my ancestors mean nothing to me. That doesn't mean anything to me. They have like no respect, but it's like you're the current flame of a long line of like embers that like even got you to be here, whether you acknowledge it or not. Like right. the way your body is, the way your nature is, like all of that is like a long line of like a guy and a girl getting together and like their traits like going to the next one. And like maybe your family, like that's why like last name was shoemaker or whatever. It's like you're a family of people, like you guys were really good with shoes, or like Germans are good at engineering, like something you can't overcome that. So I think there's like some truth and some beauty behind that, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I guess you can look at it in the most negative sense where like in this country, they talk about how like, it's like our most dividing factor, you know, and like you can never be like a true American, like maybe in the worst sense, they would say it, right?
Right. Do you agree that some of our, if not all of our instincts or like character traits are a product of like our ancestors? Or do you think that they can
I think
be like chosen with personal will?
I think it's both. I think it's the whole like Harry Potter thing where like when he's getting sorted and in the first movie when he's getting sorted, like the hat wants to put him in Slytherin, but like he chooses that he would rather be in Gryffindor. And just the choice alone was like enough that like he did like curve his instincts and like aim them at, like to the best of his ability. Like that's what made him different from Tom Riddle, is that like he had the same traits and like the same potential. Like a Slytherin person's supposed to be like people that are like they want to be very accomplished. So like Harry had all that, but what he didn't want is he didn't want to be maybe evil. And like that was enough to like change it, you know? So it's kind of like
Cunning.
it's both things. Like you have to come to like the respect of like this is like these are like my weaknesses and strengths. And like it's up to me how I aim those things.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I mean, it has like notes of what's that shit called? Ah, eugenics. Yeah. It has notes of eugenics in it, where it's like some you guys like are classified as a group, and as a group, this is what we expect, like our framework. Like,
Yeah, but
like the U.S. is
not true though.
Like, yeah,
But like that's kind of true though. Like for example, like Oriental people tend to blush red after drinking alcohol because they have different enzymes in their stomach because they didn't have thousands of years of drinking beer like medieval Europe did, you know? And like
or like black folks being the most athletic, which is a fact.
that is a fact. Yeah. Um
Now, what they would
yeah, that's a fact. Yeah. There's like other like, arguments. But
many rubrics. It has notes of that in there. He's talking about, you know.
same thing, like, and he talks about like how like Scottish people aren't like, who would you think is a better engineer, like an Irish person or like a German? You'd like, I'm gonna bet on the German engineer, you know.
Right.
So, but like, what's a Viking known for? Being strong and big and broad, right? So like, people are known for things, you know.
Yep.
Like Mexicans, for example, they're known for like producing really good boxers. Like Joe Rogan always talks about that. Like they have like a big culture of like boxing, you know. And like also hard work, also partying. Like Catholic Hispanics are known for partying, right? It's like it's my nephew's first birthday. Let's buy 100 Modelos, you know. Like that's a classic meme, right? For like that culture. For like a white person wouldn't do that for their baby's first birthday, but like,
Right. Yeah. All right. I have to grab my computer charger real quick. I will be right back.
okay.
Fuck. You guys say McDonald's and my mind hasn't left, bro. So
You gonna get that fish fillet? That Whitney fish fillet?
oh no, dude. I don't know.
Remember when I got back around for Whitney, I kept being like, do one Big Mac and a fish fillet, and like I'm not even done. Like all I want is the Big Mac fish fillet combo. I don't care.
Yeah. Oh, this is fire, actually. Dude, donut? Fuck.
Dude, we got some really good pizza last night. So it was really good.
Are you at Amanda's house or what?
Yeah.
Nice. Is that a Star Wars painting behind me? It's like
Yeah. What?
Death Stars and a kind of.
It is a Death Star. I moved into their basement, or it's something like that. I moved into their basement because everyone just came home. I feel like I can't talk now. You know how I get sometimes with book club. I feel like I'm sandbagged a little bit.
I got to it's not too.
You gotta take a piss now too. All right.
Sorry, dude. All right. I gotta get up.
Real quick break, Douglas.
That boy cribbled. No one else can finish on it. Only you can let it in.
Damn, bro. Moving in 1 month. It's huge.
Damn, brother. Yeah, it's a pretty big deal. It doesn't feel like it though. It just feels like I don't know. I feel like it's just a part of the journey.
It won't, dude, until you're sitting in that apartment with just a fucking mattress on the ground.
Yeah, well, I'll be with my grandma for a little bit.
Yeah.
But for the most part,
Sometimes the mattress on the ground though is like good for the soul though. Like honestly, like I remember like the restart. I remember when I moved into Rose house. I mean, I know it's still nice, but like you guys didn't see it when it was under construction. There was no walls. There was just plastic everywhere, studs everywhere. The bathroom, there was one toilet in one room, no lights, no sink, and then there was a sink in another one. And I was sleeping like literally just on a mattress on the floor. And I was like, why the fuck did I come here? Like what am I actually fucking thinking? But it was good though. It was good though. Yeah.
Yeah, dude, now you made lifelong friends.
Yeah, exactly. We literally have to be in that trench.
Nadine made a sourdough bread, bro. She's trying to be a stay-at-home for real.
Nice, dude. Make her a trad wife, bro.
That's what she wants, dude, every day.
Dude, that's good. That's a good sign. I like that for you. Good.
Yeah. So we'll have to downsize at some point.
But whatever. That's fine though. You know, as long as you guys can pay your bills and fucking like have money for the long term, I'm like, dude, if you're gonna have kids and stuff, why wouldn't you want that? You know?
Right? Exactly.
That's awesome.
All right.
All right.
That was a brief intermission.
cut here, cut this piece.
Welcome back. We are jumping back in with aphorism 265. So I'll go ahead and read that. At the risk of displeasing innocent ears, I submit that egoism belongs to the essence of a noble soul. I mean the unalterable belief that to a being such as we, other beings must naturally be in subjection and have to sacrifice themselves. The noble soul accepts the fact of his egoism without question, and also without consciousness of harshness, constraint, or arbitrariness therein, but rather as something that may have its basis in the primary law of things. If he sought a designation for it, he would say it is justice itself. He acknowledges, under certain circumstances, which made him hesitate at first, that there are other equally privileged ones. As soon as he has settled this question of rank, he moves among those equals and equally privileged ones with the same assurance as regards modesty and delicate respect which he enjoys in the intercourse with himself, in accordance with an innate heavenly mechanism which all the stars understand. It is an additional instance of his egoism, this artfulness and self limitation in intercourse with his equals. Every star is a similar egoist. He honors himself in them and in the right which he concedes to them. He has no doubt that the exchange of honors and rights and the essence of all intercourse belongs also to the natural condition of things. The noble soul gives as he takes, prompted by the passionate and sensitive instinct of requital, which is at the root of his nature. The notion of favor has inter pares, neither significance nor good repute. There may be a sublime way of letting gifts, as it were, light upon one from above, and of drinking them thirstily like dewdrops. But for those arts and displays, the noble soul has no aptitude. His egoism hinders him here. In general, he looks aloft unwillingly. He looks either forward, horizontally and deliberately, or downwards. He knows that he is on a height. Let's see. Egoism is a hallmark of nobility. The unshakable belief in one's own worth.
See, I don't know. I don't know if I necessarily totally agree with that. I see. Okay, like sure. So he's saying like egoism, which is the unshakable, like your unshakable assurance of yourself. Okay,
Yep.
is a hallmark to nobility because, like, from the start, they've been told their whole life that like I'm thinking like let's say like, medieval Europe, right? Nobility. Okay, that's kind of what he's referencing from the start. Like they are like the higher class. Like they dictate culture, they dictate class. So like, why wouldn't you be self-assured? Like your whole life you've been self-assured, right? And he's saying like you kind of can't get that self-assurance from like unless you were born into it. Ace, stop. But I kind of disagree a little bit, only because I mean, speaking just anecdotally from myself, I think that like in my own uh like sphere of influence, okay, that like I'm typically very sure of myself. And I think it's because not because like I thought I was born with it, but because like through multiple uh through multiple experiences of showing that like you can almost persevere and overcome and like handle anything. Hey, you can handle anything. And like that self-assurance of like building a habit of like not giving up halfway through and always finishing something and handling it. It's like I've never like questioned my ability to handle it because like I look at my track record, I go just like always, baby.
Yeah.
Just like always. So I feel like it doesn't necessarily have to be like you're born into it, you know? But also too, like maybe my parents helped me like have that self-assurance because they always like made sure I built a habit of doing that, you know? So I don't know. Like the David Goggins thing, you know? Like he's like you think he's like I guess he's sure of himself because he knows that like he's overcome the weaker version of himself already.
Which is why he continues to do it.
Right. He's like just like always. Just like always.
Yeah. So Nietzsche is stating, for the noble soul, this self-trust that we're talking about is not arrogance, but harmony with life's natural hierarchy.
See, I love that. Like, can kind of like anecdotally, when that whole debacle happened at work. Okay, I was talking to one of my friends in the field, and we were recapping about like how we deal with stress and like anxiety. And he was like, "If that would have happened to me, it would have been nuclear, like end of the world type shit." He goes, "From my perspective, you were just like another really good thing will just happen for me again." He was like he was like, "You should piss me off." He was like, "It's fine. Another really good thing will just happen to me, just like always." And I was like, but like it's because like I feel like in harmony with the world, like it's like, yeah, you know, I just like that word. I like how he said that. It's like you're like a surfer riding like the wave of life, right? It's like it's fine. I know how to surf. It's chill. And like sometimes the waves are big, sometimes they're small, but it's always fun.
I talked to my grandma this week. In her van, somebody spray painted it in Fresno.
Oh, terrible.
Right next to the VA. And so she took it into Caliber Collision. They spray it up. They make it look real nice. My grandma goes to pick it up. And she's like, wow, it looks beautiful. You know, like super grateful for it. And then the guy's like, yeah, it looks beautiful. I have to show you something. And he opens up the hood of the car and all the motor mounts are like fucked. And he goes, this car is not safe to drive. Like we fixed it. We got all the paint off of it and all that stuff, but you cannot drive this car anymore. It's done. And rather than her being like, oh man, that really sucks, she goes, to God be the glory. I could have died. The agent fell out of this, you know? And I can, like, the way she saw that, like, something good will always come out, you know?
Yeah. It's like, thank God you caught that. What if I was driving?
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. So rather than being like, damn, what was me? She was like, wow, thank God you caught it. Like, I'm super grateful.
It's like the glass half full, half empty type thing.
Exactly. That's kind of what that reminded me of. But all right. Last two. They're short little tweets. Who wants this one?
I got it.
All right.
Oh wait, it's only one sentence. The fuck?
Hit that shit, boy.
Get that, Aaron.
One can only truly esteem him who does not look out for himself. Goeth to wrath, Skolser. Skolser.
One can only truly esteem him who does not look out for himself.
I think I'm 266 back into 265. In the beginning of 265, he says, I mean, the unalterable belief that to being such as we, other beings, must naturally be in subjection and have sacrificed themselves. I think my interpretation of what he's saying in 266 is the only way you can reciprocally like have something given to you, you must give upon first, or you must send out first. And then in order to esteem yourself, you need to show yourself the respect that you've already taken the action to demand that respect. And so I think that's essentially what he's like. If you don't do that, then you're not really looking out for yourself. You're kind of choosing the opposite.
Yeah, I mean, so what Goethe is saying is, in a sense, you can only esteem him who does not look out for himself. So only the strong can afford not to look out for themselves. So you only esteem those, which is an interesting idea.
Explain that. Only the strong can afford to not look after themselves. Explain.
So further here, let's see.
The weak always need someone to look out for them.
I don't know.
No.
Is that what he said?
Not look out for themselves. Like he's not looking out for himself because he thinks he doesn't have to worry about anything. Explain.
Yeah, I'm. So that's actually what we would need to do is break this down. So, like,
Chad Daddy to you.
only the strong can afford to not look out for themselves. Like they're doing so well that they don't need to worry about what's going on with their, let's say, physical, for an example.
Well, no, I mean,
An athlete.
No, but that's a lie, though.
Yeah, that doesn't really fit.
What is okay, so is it to me that doesn't make sense either. Like that isn't that
Well, I just want to understand, like, are we understanding it correctly? And then if so, I would love like a fucking editorial's note, like explaining, what type of shit, because like, I mean, I'm getting maybe the concept that like, it's like the lion doesn't need the joke, the lion doesn't concern himself with blah, blah, blah. You know, like that meme that's going on right now? It's like, why does the lion not concern himself with those things? Because he's strong, right? Okay, like that's the whole joke. Okay. And like, but I mean, like being perceptive is one of the things that maybe makes you strong. Like when you see a snake in the grass, that's a good thing to identify that there's a snake in the grass, whether I'm strong or not. You know, it's just like that's just good, like social awareness, or like you're having good what's it called, spatially aware, and like I mean that like metaphorically too. You know, like snake in the grass, like whether it's a physical one or like it'd be like a person that like means to do you harm. It's like, well, like should you let a snake just slither around in like your like maybe like most closest quarters, and like that's a metaphor too, you know? So it's like even if you are strong, it would just be good to like always be vigilant.
Yeah. Sorry.
I was just gonna put in ChatGPT. I was like, explain it to me like I'm a fourth grader in one sentence. in 2 seconds.
In one sentence is crazy. The one sentence is crazy, by the way.
It said it means you can really only respect someone who isn't just thinking about themselves. In other words, the people we truly admire care about something bigger than their own gain.
That's why I think he put that after 265 is because he's hitting on, like, in order to become a esteemed person or respectful, like, respect yourself. Like, you need to be looking out for the world around you.
Well, sure. I'm yeah. Okay, sorry, Jake, you can go.
If he would have put the word like esteem him who does not only look out for himself.
Correct. So I'm thinking the same thing, right? Like,
Right.
obviously, like, I don't respect the guy who's like, he's only about himself. Like,
Right.
like us humans, the way we and like how we get respect to is like we're like wolves. It's like we run in a pack, and like it's like the most respectful wolf is the one that like leads the pack, like keeps the pack safe, all that stuff, right? And like that's why he gets respect, because like first he looks after himself, but like at the end of the day, he's also making sure everyone's fucking straight. And so like I get that, but at the end of the day, like he's also looking after himself too. Just saying.
It makes me, this is, I think, one of the big arguments as to why LeBron is not the best player,
Because he's selfish.
because it doesn't matter. Like, the team matters in a sense, but it's not like that with LeBron. Like, ultimately he's sitting out the beginning of the season because he wants to see if the team's good enough for him to play on it. It's like, bro, if you were, you know what I mean? Like, if you were about it, you wouldn't be here. You'd be training, you'd be doing the thing to get everybody else better. But it is like a for himself type thing. I think that's one of the arguments against LeBron, which I can see. But that, I mean,
Hey, come out.
the idea of the whole team, you definitely want to follow a leader that's going to keep the whole team in mind,
Okay, this reminds me, when I was after the Halloween party, I was smoking a cig with this guy I just met or whatever, and then we were just talking about what he wants to do, blah blah blah, and then he said something to me which was really naive. He was like, he's like, I just fucking like hate being like a follower. He's like, I'm just a leader, and I go, okay. I was like, have you ever been able to be a good follower before? And he was like, no, I'm not a sheep. And I was like, well, every good leader was originally the best follower. And I was like every quarterback, like, does the team not listen to their quarterback? Does the team not listen to their coach? Like, I was like before you ever even get to touch leadership, before people even respect you to be a leader, you have to show them that you're the best follower compared to everybody else. Or don't get to just be like, I'm a leader, now follow me. And like, I think that concept kind of fucking like scrambled his brain a little bit.
I haven't turned these gears.
But it's just like a naive thing to say, like, I fucking, I'm just a natural born leader. I was like, okay, said literally like the fucking most naive like person in the world,
All right. I think we've got that one. We disagree. Somewhat.
We disagree somewhat, yeah.
267.
I got this one.
All right.
Oh, okay.
The Chinese have a proverb which mothers even teach their children. Xiao Xin, make thy heart small. This is the essentially fundamental tendency in latter-day civilizations. I have no doubt that an ancient Greek also would first of all remark the self-dwarfing in us Europeans of today. In this respect alone, we should immediately be distasteful to him.
Yeah. Okay.
Make thy heart small. Is that like a... Oh, go ahead.
Well, I could be wrong. I've never heard that proverb before. But like, for sure in China's culture, I mean, I think they're really big on like big gears and small gears and like know your place, and like for like all for China, like what you're doing is for China, and like and like he's talking about the Greeks would be dissatisfied or distasteful with the current Europeans because he said dwarfed, self-dwarfing, and maybe he's talking like, I feel like Greeks used to romanticize like philosophy and like the
Hero.
understanding and like the romanticism of like the human endeavors, like a hero, exactly. A journey, like trials, and like they would like make them into stories, very grandiose stories, right? To like the tell of a tale. And for the Europeans now that have like self-dwarfed themselves as to just like maybe simple men who just plow a field or whatever. I think that's kind of maybe what he's touching on. And I think that's kind of what he's touching on with the Chinese proverb, where it's just like, hey, like, I don't know. So tell us more, Jay.
Yeah, I think you guys are on it. Make your heart small. It makes me think like, keep your desires relative, and the idea of like Chinese culture being a lot more of a collectivist culture rather than an individualist culture.
Well, say that again. I like that first part you just said, where it's like, keep your goals. What'd you say? Keep your goals realistic? Is that what you said?
Relative.
Keep your goals relative. Like, that's what they're saying. It's like, hey, don't dream that you're going to be an astronaut, because you're not, like that's like what she's saying to her son,
Right.
But you can dream, but like, don't get your hopes up, because like the reality is fucking real.
Yeah. But really our society needs a shoemaker, a restaurateur, and a boss,
A rice grower. I mean, that's what majority of people in China do. Like, rice fields.
Keep your desires relative. And he's saying like in ancient Greek, they would find it distasteful. I mean, look at their mythology. They're all individuals, right? Zeus is like a god. There's a hierarchy to things.
Well, they want to go be heroes, like for real, like having like the largest heart of them all,
Right. I mean, your leaders of the time in philosophy are known as individuals. You have, Socrates, you have Aristotle. There are individuals that Plato that arise inside of those cultures. But he's seeing, modern society has kind of flattened things to make it a collectivist thing. And because, you're the nail that sticks up, keep your heart small, keep your desire small.
Yeah. And especially in their culture too. Like, I think there's like maybe not much vertical growth, like within like their society hierarchies, So, which is one thing that's, I think, great about our culture in America, which makes it so different from European culture, is like the origin of our culture is that like you can have as big a heart as you want, like the whole thing is like if you do everything right, here, you can literally like, there's no predetermined social classes. Like, you can expand into a higher social class if you're like diligent enough, tactful, and maybe a little bit lucky. You can like slingshot yourself into like way different classes, and like we read about like you use the merit. That's what America is, like meritocracy, what we used to be.
Yeah, United States of America.
Yeah, we used to be.
All right, I think that covers it pretty well. You guys have anything else to add?
No.
All right, then I'll get us out of here. Thank you guys so much again for tuning in to another episode of Paradyme Podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show. If you think we missed anything, drop that down in the comment section below. We'd love to discuss with you. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the little bell so you're updated whenever we put out a new video. And follow us on our social media platforms. All the information you need will be down in the description box below. And before you take off, remember, who you are now equals who you'll be tomorrow. Peace.
All right. Recording.